Hello, everyone. Welcome to Love Your Menses Facebook and YouTube Live. Today we are talking about COVID-19, allergies, and periods, how to distinguish between the three, and how to care and protect your health. My name is Bria Gadsden. I am the co-founder and executive director of Love Your Menses, and I am here with three of my amazing, awesome team members. We have a lively discussion for you today, and so I will allow them to introduce themselves. All right. Azriel?
Hi, everybody. I'm Azriel. I am Love Your Menses program manager, and I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. It's so important to be able to determine between our allergies and when we're sick, what's happening with our period. We're going to try to answer all those questions today.
Thank you, Azriel. And Dayel?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Dayel Exonor, and I am the Health Equity Communication Ambassador for Love Your Menses. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Dayel. And finally, Stacy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stacey Chwangam, and I am also the program manager for Love Your Menses. And I'm so excited to have this conversation with you guys because it's important to make sure that we be as comfortable as possible in those difficult times.
Thank you, Stacy. And for those who are tuning in on live, you can join the discussion by commenting, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. You can type in the chat and we will show your comments on the screen. So we encourage you to join in the conversation and be engaged, ask questions, leave comments. We are here to support you. And I will allow Azriel to take it away.
All right. So here we are, COVID and your period. So the first thing to know, it's a big question. COVID, allergies, or is it my period? How can we possibly tell the difference? So we're going to get into some of the symptoms of each, and that's going to help us decide. So with COVID, you often will have a cough, you'll get muscle aches, tiredness. It'll feel like the flu. And everyone has had a flu at one point or another. Really, those muscle aches and the tiredness, a sore throat, and a runny, stuffy nose are those major symptoms. And then, particularly with COVID, there can be the loss of taste or smell. And you might not get that with the regular flu, but many people experience that with COVID. You can sometimes have a fever, you can sometimes get diarrhea, and sometimes have a bit of nausea. And those symptoms are interesting because you might be one of those people that experiences diarrhea, nausea at other times, like during your period as well. The only way to know for sure if you have COVID is to get a COVID test. So if you feel any of those symptoms coming on or you notice any of them, the best thing to do is confirm and go get tested. So with allergies, these symptoms are not caused by a virus like COVID or the flu virus or the cold virus. They're actually just a reaction in response to allergens like pollen. Pollen's in the air, also dust, and insect bites. People can be allergic to things like a bee sting. So allergies are not caused by a virus. They're caused by exposure to an allergen. COVID-19, it's important to note that you can have shortness of breath with COVID, and this does not typically happen when you have allergies unless you have a condition such as asthma. You should not feel shortness of breath if you're having an allergic reaction to pollen. Your allergy symptoms will be sneezing, a runny, stuffy nose, itchy eyes, itchy nose, itchy mouth, itchy ears. Anyone who has allergies knows what I'm talking about. It can be the most annoying thing in the world to be having an allergy attack like this. You can sometimes have a cough. You can sometimes feel tired and sometimes have difficulty tasting or smelling. But these symptoms are less prominent and less common than if you were to be experiencing a cold or the flu or COVID. But look out for that. You almost never will experience those muscle aches like when you have the flu or a sore throat. Allergies should not cause a fever normally. And diarrhea and nausea are also not symptoms of an allergic reaction. Now we're on to PMS, the period flu. So our period symptoms are caused by our hormones as they fluctuate and they change during our menstrual cycle. So this is the main difference between our period symptoms and allergies and COVID or the flu. The symptoms can include nausea, headache, dizziness, diarrhea, constipation, fatigue, muscle aches, cramps, bloating, and even a fever and chills sometimes with our periods. You may notice lots of overlapping symptoms with COVID, and this can be very confusing. It can make it hard to tell the difference between experiencing PMS and COVID because of this. But the way you can tell is that your symptoms will usually start after ovulating. And then as your period goes along, they should improve and eventually go away by the time you're done menstruating. So if you go over the course of your period and your symptoms do not go away, then you might be looking at COVID or the flu or a cold. It's important to note your PMS symptoms end when your period ends.
Azriel, I have a question. Going back to period flu, like, should we be taking NyQuil, like, when we're experiencing these symptoms? Or, like, what are some things we can do if we do have the period flu?
Well, there are lots of things that we can be doing to find relief. I wouldn't suggest NyQuil. Medicating can be a serious thing, and you only want to medicate when you are experiencing an illness that medication is meant for and prescribed for. But it can be hard to sleep. I understand that when you're having those PMS symptoms. And later on, we're going to talk about some of the ways you can find relief and get some peace and hopefully a good night's rest. So speaking of relief, let's start with allergy relief. So the best way to get relief from your allergies is to stay away from the pollen, from the thing that is causing those allergy symptoms. So especially when the pollen counts are high, stay inside as much as you can. Avoid open doors and windows. And a good way, if you do have to go outside, is to actually wear a face mask to protect your nasal passages and your mouth from having exposure to those pollen particles, and you'll be good. A fun fact is that actually the best time, if you experience allergies, the best time to go outside is right after it rains, because the rain will actually clear that pollen to the ground. It pushes it out of the air. And when you go outside, you're breathing pollen-free, fresh air. So other things you can do are oral antihistamines. These are your over-the-counter allergy pills. So Allegra, Claritin, and Zyrtec are 3 big ones. You can also do an over-the-counter nasal spray. So if you're feeling a lot of nasal congestion, that stuffy nose, and even the cough sometimes, a nasal spray will help. And decongestants like Sudafed can really help clear your chest if it's feeling congested, your nose, your throat, and just clearing that mucus away. It's important to always consult your doctor before you start any new medications, including the over-counter ones.
Can I add one more in there for you too? So I know sometimes when I get really stuffy noses because of allergies, I will literally steam over some warm water, and that really helps start clearing up the sinuses. If you add a little bit of peppermint essential oil, like literally a drop in there, or even some lavender oil, it really helps open up your airways, right? Or even getting something like the Vicks Vapor Rub. They now have an actual liquid that you could put in their steam machine, or if you have a steamer at home, where you could actually breathe it in. And please read the directions accordingly, to open up the airways as best as possible. So that's also another option.
That's good stuff. Yes. That can also help with a good night's sleep, just getting those sinuses cleared in any way that you can. Fall asleep better. Along the lines of clearing those nasal passages, we love those vapors, but also you can rinse your sinuses. I don't know how many people actually know this, but it's a really good way to flush out the mucus and all the allergens that got trapped in your nose from the entire day. And use these saline solutions and what they call neti pots. They come in all shapes and sizes, but that's the general name. Just to explain a little bit what's happening, you're on the left here is your healthy nasal passage. It is not congested at all. It's clear, you're breathing free. On the right is what happens when you come in contact with those allergens. The mucus builds up, and also the lining of your nasal passages become inflamed. They literally get swollen, and that adds significantly to those feelings of congestion. And you could actually get a headache from your allergies this way. And that's what's going on. When you rinse your nasal passages, you're literally flushing the water through these passages, and it's coming out the other side of your nose, and you're pushing all of that gunk out, clearing the drains. It works wonders. I do this like once a week in the worst allergy seasons in the springtime. So when you go to the store, you can find these pre-made solutions and kits that you can purchase from your local pharmacy. They should have one. They have it in every brand: Walgreens, CVS, this brand here, Neil Med. And you're going to want to use these solutions. You can make it yourself as well. They're saline solutions containing just water. You want a quart of water to 1.5 teaspoons of salt to a teaspoon of baking soda. And that's essentially what you're getting in those pre-made packages as well. And you just want to make sure you use bottled water if you're making them at home. And this is to make sure that you do not give yourself an infection by accident. And you also want to make sure that you clean your bottle or your neti pot before and after each use, and make sure you let it dry. All right, so on to what to do if you have your period and you also feel sick and you don't know, maybe I'm dealing with PMS, maybe I'm dealing with COVID, I'm possibly dealing with both. What can we do about it? So the reason you can get sick during your period is because our immune systems can become kind of vulnerable while we're on our periods. That's because our bodies are using lots of energy to menstruate, and lowers our immune system in certain parts of our cycles. Then on top of that, the physical stress of your daily life, but also when you come in contact with a bacteria or a virus, can make your period symptoms a little bit worse than usual. What can we do about it? We can boost our immunity by washing our hands. The less contact we have with those bacteria and viruses, the less likely we are to get sick. So before you eat, wash your hands. After you eat, wash your hands. When you come inside, wash your hands. It's never a bad time to go wash your hands. Uh, get lots of rest. If your body is telling you to go lay down, try to listen and go do that, because sleep does wonders in all kinds of ways, especially for our immune systems.
Can I add to that? So I just want to say, for those who think sleep is for later on in life, I will tell you from personal experience, you want to get as much sleep as you can. As Riel just told us, sleep is literally what you need to also rejuvenate for the following day. If your body is telling you you're tired, there's a reason. It could be water, it could be food. You could probably need a nap. And you might be, helping you sleep can also very well be preventing you from getting sick down the road. So that rest allows you to actually sustain yourself a lot better down the road, instead of trying to stay awake and get all this stuff done, right? When your body will just stop on you. You don't want your body to stop on you, because then you're going to be upset, right? So you want to make sure that you rest as much as possible in your daytime, going to bed on time. It's so easy to scroll on our phones and be working, but we want to make sure that we remember our brains are constantly taking up so much information all the time, that we actually give our brain some grace and some rest, so that we could actually do the next to-do list of things the next day. So please, please, please rest and take care of yourself.
Yes. Struggling with sleep cycles is real, but you want to make sure, get a routine and try to make that routine involve your phone as little as possible. When it gets close to bedtime, it'll help you get to bed and have better rest, like Stacy said. So minimizing stress, sleep goes into that. The more you sleep and let your brain rejuvenate, the better you handle stress. But also taking moments to realize your stress and having activities that help you de-stress. Try to work them in. Pay attention to them. It's important. We can boost our immunity a lot by what we eat. You want to take your vitamins. A daily vitamin is a good thing, but also your daily nutrition is really important. So especially when we're on our periods, you want to avoid high salt, high caffeine, high sugar, and you don't really want to have alcohol. All of those things can increase the inflammation in your body, which is the opposite of feeling better when you're on your period. Are there any other foods that we can recommend off the top of our heads right now?
Things with antioxidants, so like some blackberries, some strawberries, those are really good for us, vitamin rich. You want for like vegetables rich dark foods. Eating some beets is really good. I'm not a beet person, but if you could find a good beet recipe and do it and eat it up, just because it helps you like actually sustain and get better as your body's literally going through the motion, cleaning itself out and trying to rebuild.
Love it.
Definitely. And ginger, I don't know if we mentioned ginger. It's also great because it's one of those foods that are warming, meaning it warms the insides of your body, and it's great, for it's anti-inflammatory. Incorporating not a lot, but black pepper, whether you're making a smoothie or you're having, a salad or pasta or anything, just sprinkle a little black pepper. It'll help you better absorb some of those nutrients that are needed as well.
Nice. Yeah. The more color in your diet, the better. The colorful foods have the vitamins. And that is a great tip about the black pepper that I didn't even know. I'm going to try that. Okay. And then it's important, drink water. Drink water. Stay hydrated. It will help when you're on your period, but also in life in general, every day. Stay hydrated. Okay, so some ways that we can find relief after we've focused on, or while we're focusing on boosting our immunity, taking a light walk, light activity can really help during our period. Keeps the blood flowing in our bodies, makes us feel better. You can also soak in a warm bath, that is relaxing. This is a great time to pull out those essential oils that Stacy was talking about earlier. Maybe clear your sinuses while you just soak and let those muscles release some tension. That's a good combo activity, I think. Address your PMS and your allergies and your COVID or that flu. You want to journal your feelings and your symptoms sometimes. Taking a moment to mentally understand what's happening can really help when it goes towards healing your body. You can make a plan to help yourself relax that way, to help yourself heal and get better, or let out some feelings. Journaling is great. Consult your doctor about medications. Depending on how you're feeling and how long you're feeling ill, this goes for your period, it goes for COVID, talk to your doctor. They have lots of resources that can sometimes help where a bath or essential oils might not. And then my favorite, some herbal tea with honey. I feel like herbal tea and honey can make me feel better no matter what's happening. And we have a recipe here that was passed along by our own Stacy. So maybe you could talk us through how to prepare this lovely recipe.
So I will tell you guys that this is a concoction that my mom made while I had COVID, and it was not great in flavor, I will tell you, but I'm okay with that because I like herbal teas. So you really want to get a huge pot, fill it up with water, and get yourself an orange. It doesn't have to be too much, right? But get yourself a nice juicy orange that has like a thick skin, and put your peels all in there. Get yourself like a couple slices of onion, like a white onion, get it in there, some cinnamon, cayenne. I know cayenne's a little spicy. We add a dash. We don't need to do like a whole pot of cayenne. Absolutely not. Some garlic, a little bit of turmeric, some lime or lemon peels, very good because you want that vitamin C as well. Some black pepper, as Bria mentioned earlier. Cloves, which is really good for your body. Not too much because that flavor is actually very overpowering. So you might want to do like a teaspoon so that you can still have the effects that you need without killing the entire tea flavor. And then honey, because who doesn't love some honey? And you want to just drink it, right? Let it boil, then bring it down to a simmer for maybe 20 minutes or so. And then you have enough tea for a couple of days and just keep warming it up. I do suggest that you remove all of the ingredients and just keep the water because at one point the flavor is just going to be saturated with those flavors and then it's not going to taste as great. But drink it. It helps. All of those things help support your body, whether it's the vitamins, whether it's anti-inflammatory, whether it's just keeping you warm, right? I don't even think I put ginger. Please add some ginger. That was the last thing I forgot to tell you. Add some ginger in there as well. I think ginger tea is like one of the most perfect teas that you could ever have for yourself. Literally cut up a couple of pieces of ginger, throw it in some water, and then drink it.
Yes.
It feels so much better. So try it out and let me know if it works for you guys. It helps me out a lot.
Yeah, ginger is great. I even put ginger in my smoothies sometimes. Depending on how much you add, it can have no flavor, it can have a lot of flavor, but it's always good for you, no matter what you put it in.
Oh, yeah. This looks so good. This looks really good.
I'm going to try this next time I'm feeling a little ill. Okay, and it's so important, especially if you think you have COVID. If you're experiencing trouble breathing at any time, persistent pain in your chest especially, any confusion mentally, you can't stay awake, or you're falling, you can't stay awake, or it's hard for you to wake up, or the color of your skin is changing, your lips, your nail beds, if they're changing color, call 911. Those are very, very serious symptoms. Whether it's COVID, whether it's your allergies, you're having a bad allergy attack, or you're on your period and you start experiencing any of those things, get to emergency medical care. And finally, love yourself. I love this quote. Love yourself fully, deeply, and honestly, because you deserve your love and affection. I feel like that's almost a prayer. Amen. Yeah.
Well, Azriel, that was so great. It was very informative. I feel like I've never learned or saw many informative things that not only talked about COVID, but also allergies and having your period, because you can have all three at the same time. And I've definitely had all three and not know how to care for yourself because you don't know what's going on if you haven't gotten tested, so you don't know if it's COVID, if it's the flu, and then your period's coming and then you're just miserable, right? And especially if you do have all three, then you have to isolate. So you're by yourself, which is even worse, especially if you're someone who experiences, emotional changes when you're on your menstrual period. And so this was so great. Does anyone have any comments, any questions? Solomon, we see you in chat. Thank you for showing love as always. So we have a question here. It says, what will be the next step if someone is far away from the city but experiencing all of these symptoms? So, and feel free you all to jump in with your suggestions. But I would say if they're unable to get to a health facility, they're definitely using some of these remedies that we've suggested, drinking herbal teas and making sure you're getting plenty of rest. Rest is the best medicine. Oftentimes, we're busy trying to go here and there for care. And unless, you're having difficulty breathing, the best rest, and any healthcare provider will say that if you are someone who's experiencing COVID symptoms, like this, you have to sleep, you have to rest, you have to drink fluids. Your body's going to have to go through that process in order for you to heal. If your body's reacting because it's trying to, there's this immune response that's happening in your body. And so your body has to fight that. With that, you may get a fever. You may experience other symptoms, but having over-the-counter medication at home at all times, making sure you have tea and foods that you can easily prepare. If you're by yourself and you're not going to want to cook a 5-course meal, you might not even have the appetite for that. But having soups and oatmeal and broth, things that you can easily prepare and eat are very helpful as well. But if you are experiencing chest pain and you're really having difficulty breathing, then yes, it's important to go to your nearest health facility, call a neighbor, call a friend, a family member, someone to help you get there. Anyone else?
I would say definitely, just to add to that, track your symptoms. When you start feeling ill, jot it down or take a quick 5-second video and tell yourself how you feel, because it's hard when you're sick to be mentally able to keep track of lots of little things, and you might go to sleep and wake up and not really realize how much worse you were feeling. You might need a reminder. And again, if those symptoms are getting worse and you need to get to a doctor, you need to have some sort of signal to yourself to know, okay, this has gone past a line and I need help. I need to call somebody. I need to go. Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't think about jotting down how you're feeling. And that's super important because if you are able to speak with a doctor over the phone, they're going to ask you what's your temperature. And you may have, checked it, but didn't write it down. So you don't remember. Or if they ask you, has it been improving? Has your temperature been going down? Or is your fever increasing? And if you're not tracking it or writing it down, then you're just sort of guessing. And so it is important to jot down, not just when you're, experiencing a COVID or the flu, but also when you have your period. It's important to track and write down your symptoms. So when you see your healthcare provider, if they ask you, when was your last period? Are you experiencing any complications? You can say, yes, I actually had lower back pain days 1 and 2 of my period, or my blood flow was really heavy, or, I was spotting, or I saw clots. or I was fatigued, or I was vomiting and very nauseous. So it's important to write down, what you're feeling and experiencing and tracking that for your knowledge and also for your healthcare provider.
Mm-hmm. It does become really helpful with your allergies as well, especially if you're experiencing new allergies, reactions that you can't explain. Writing, it happens after I come inside from soccer practice, or a lot of times you can be going into a space that is exposing you to an allergen, or eating a new food, and it can be hard to figure out. But if you have the notes, your doctor can help you figure that out.
Now, it may be tricky if you're visiting a friend and they live, somewhere else, and every time you go over there, you have allergies. You may have to tell your friend, "Hey, I can't visit you
Okay.
anymore because my eyes are watering every time I step foot in your neighborhood," which is kind of a nice way to say that. But it's really important with allergies because, you may not realize, "Oh, I just moved," or, "Oh, I went to the nail salon or the hair salon in this town, and there's so many trees, and now you have bad allergies." So it's important to track that.
Yeah. Yep. The more knowledge you have of yourself, the better.
Any other questions in the chat? Dielle or Stacy, do you have anything to add?
I think one thing, as we're talking about writing all this stuff down, I just think like having an official like health journal would be awesome. Just like make a journal for your health and your health only, right? So then when something pops up, you can keep track of everything, or put it on your phone, whatever is the most feasible for you, so that we could just pull it up and we have it in one place. So,
Great idea.
It's a good point. And you can download our app, Our Flow. It's our menstrual wellness app, and you're able to not just track your period, but also learn more about the menstrual cycle, the anatomy, the female reproductive system. And we do have a chat bot as well where you can ask questions and receive an automated response, or someone from our team will get back to you with a live response. And so definitely visit the App Store, type in Our Flow to download the app to learn more about the menstrual cycle.
Yeah, that's important. I learn something new about my menstrual cycle every single day, honestly. Every time I go through a cycle, I learn something new. It's important.
It's very important. And people don't realize how the menstrual cycle is truly a mind body experience. And so, it affects every part of your being. And I don't know who coined the phrase, but they call it the fifth vital sign. And
Mm-hmm.
it's true because your period affects every part of your health and vice versa. And it's important to take care of yourself and prevent some things, and instead of reacting when something is wrong. And so that means eating, good foods that are good for you, being physically active, drinking a lot of water. If you have pain, seeking help, because it's not normal to be in severe period pain. And that's something that we also have to talk about more, and seeking help to care for yourself so you're not suffering in silence. Because you don't want to have to be in pain when you're on your period, then have allergies, and then have COVID, which is also can be very painful. And so it's a recipe for a mental, physical, a spiritual disaster that you're experiencing in that moment. But as long as you have what you need to care for yourself, and you have a support system, because as a community we have to care for one another and watch over each other, then you'll be able to get through it.
Yep. Great points.
Yes, Solomon. Yes, we do need this knowledge in Liberia and elsewhere. So yes, definitely, we would love to continue to spread this knowledge to our friends in Liberia, because COVID is universal. Menstruation is universal. Regardless of where you live, how you identify, your ethnicity, there's many people who menstruate, and we may all have slightly different menstrual experiences, but having a period is something that many people experience. And so the more we can talk about it, the more we can break the taboo and be able to support each other.
Love that. Global support, a global network.
Yes.
We need each other. I need you guys.
Well, this has been so great. If anyone else has any questions, please type it in the chat before we wrap up for today. But Asriel, thank you. This was so informative. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Dayal. I feel like I learned something new, and I wish I had this when I was actually going through it in the fall of last year. So,
yeah, hear that. Thank you, Bria.
Alrighty. Well, thank you. Yes, Solomon. We'll be sure to touch base with you. But for those who want to stay connected, please visit our website, loveyourmenses.com, and follow us on social media at loveyourmenses. We will be having more of these lives throughout the month just to keep you informed and educated, not only about COVID, but also about reproductive health and how you can care for your health. Also, be sure to subscribe to our email list so you can stay up to date on events and lives that we have planned. And join us for our next period pop-up in Dorchester in Boston next Friday, August 5th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Dr. Loach Family Park in Dorchester. We will be giving out free menstrual products. They're all organic cotton, meaning they're safe for your body. And so please join us. Come take what you need. You get to meet some of us and have a good time. So you can go on our website to see the flyer, to get the exact address, and we hope to see you there. And thank you all for tuning in, and we hope you have a great night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are located. Bye.
Bye.